There's a new twist tonight in the Novak Djokovic saga. He's now under investigation over whether he lied on his travel entry form. He declared that he hadn't travelled in the 2 weeks before he came to Australia. But his social media tells a different story. The immigration minister says he's still considering whether to cancel the tennis star's visa. Here's political reporter Melissa Clark.
Tennis turned to a fray as Novak Djokovic's fans celebrated a court victory of a different kind last night. But the Serbian tennis great is not yet guaranteed to make the first round of the Australian Open. Djokovic successfully appealed to the Federal Circuit Court to get his visa reinstated. The court ordered the decision to cancel Djokovic's temporary activity visa made on the 6th of January 2022 be quashed and ordered the Home Affairs Minister to pay Djokovic's costs. The Federal Circuit Court found the cancellation of his visa was unreasonable because Border Force cut short Djokovic's time to respond. The world number one headed straight to centre court, telling fans via social media he was pleased and grateful the judge overturned the visa cancellation and that he wants to stay and to try to compete at the Australian Open. The federal government has pointed out their legal loss was over procedure, and Immigration Minister Alex Hawke is still considering using his discretionary powers to cancel Djokovic's visa again. A night and a day has passed, but still no decision yet. Initially, the federal government avoided wading into the controversy.
Well, that is a matter for the Victorian government. They have provided him with an exemption to come to Australia, and so we then act in accordance with that decision.
But public sentiment was unusually united. Anger that an unvaccinated tennis star could come to Australia when other unvaccinated foreigners are denied entry. The Prime Minister's sentiment switched.
Rules are rules.
The federal government's rationale for cancelling Djokovic's visa remains he is not vaccinated. The immigration minister could cancel his visa again, but risk making a martyr of the man. He could let the visa stand and swallow a humiliating back down. Neither is a politically palatable option. The Serbian Prime Minister called Scott Morrison to advocate on Djokovic's behalf. But documents from the court proceedings raise new questions. Djokovic had declared he hadn't travelled in the fortnight prior to arriving in Melbourne. But he had come from Spain, and pictures online appear to show he was in Serbia less than 2 weeks ago. The Victorian Premier is refusing to weigh in.
Well, that's entirely a matter for the federal government.
A Commonwealth quandary. Melissa Clark, ABC News, Canberra.
While his place in the Australian Open isn't guaranteed, Djokovic was back in his element today. He hit the practice courts in Melbourne, still aiming for a tilt at a record-breaking 21st Grand Slam title. Yesterday's court outcome has been welcomed in some quarters and condemned in others. It's all made for another turbulent chapter for one of the most polarising figures in world sport.
After his spell in immigration detention, Novak Djokovic kept his team close for extra support. A training session on centre court signalled his intent to move on from his visa saga, but the episode has stirred some deep feelings.
No, it's not right. I should be stood up there booing with everybody else.
Just a bit comical. I think the whole thing needed Benny Hill music.
Spanish champion Rafael Nadal has been at odds with Djokovic over his anti-vaccination stance, but says his great rival should be allowed to play.
Justice has spoken and has said that he has the right to participate in the Australian Open, and I think it's the fairest decision to do so.
As an Australian athlete that's seen what this guy has done, for us and, for the sport, I just don't think it's right how we're handling it.
Czech player Renata Vorochova was also given a medical exemption to play in Melbourne, but unlike Djokovic, she returned home after her visa was revoked.
Hopefully he can play, because that's what we went there for, to play tennis and not to be part of any, inside games.
In Serbia, Djokovic's family broke into song after the court's decision. But the mood abruptly changed when they were quizzed over his movements after he contracted COVID last month. Court documents show Djokovic was notified of a positive test on the 16th of December. But instead of isolating as required by Serbian law, he spent the following days attending a series of public events.
Was he at an event on the 17th of December?
This press conference
is adjourned at the moment.
While Djokovic may count the cost to his reputation, Australian Open officials will also be assessing the damage. These are hardly the images one associates with the so-called happy slam.
If the Australian Open is making conditions that people seem to meet and then are not allowed to come even though they seem to have met the conditions, that would not help our status.
The Players Association has released a statement saying the series of events leading to Monday's court hearing have been damaging on all fronts, including for Novak's well-being and preparation for the Open. The turmoil of the last few days will have undoubtedly taken a toll on Djokovic, less than a week out from his first match here at Melbourne Park. But as divisive as the Serbian star is, there's one thing most observers can agree on. He's often at his best when his back's against the wall. Damien McIver, ABC News, Melbourne.